Alright, so we are back at Seward Park. This is my 6th crit and my 4th crit at Seward Park. I actually started my GoPro footage about 2 laps in, so I missed a little bit of content. It started out with me pretty far in the back of the pack. I had a couple teammates, Brian and Jacob, out there. They were up ahead, and I spent, I guess, the first lap just trying to coast up to them. On lap 2, I went ahead and followed my plan to move up as soon as I possibly could. Used the momentum I had from the descent to kind of coast over the roller that everybody typically kind of scrunches up on and slows down. So I really wanted to take advantage of that and move up as early as possible in the race, be near the front. After last week, really good lesson about being in the front and how much more efficient it is than being in the back, having to respond to the stretching, the gaps that form, and also not being able to take corners as efficiently. So with all that said, you're joining me here on lap 3. I know it says 2 out of 13, but this was the 3rd lap. And pretty much from this point till about midway through the race, not really a whole lot interesting happened. So we're going to go ahead and fast forward to the breakaway that happened at about 14 minutes into the race. And we're back. Until now, there hasn't been much noteworthy action. I've just been focused on efficiency and maintaining my position relatively close to the front of the pack. As we get to the bottom of this hill, I notice that there is a small breakaway happening. I look ahead and it doesn't really seem like there is anybody who is responding to it. So I go ahead and use this section, the section where I said everybody gets scrunched up. I go ahead and use this portion to kind of swing around everybody and try to close that gap. As I approach, the group is looking a little tired, not particularly cohesive. It is a climb, so I guess the draft isn't particularly important, but I decided to just kind of swing around and find whoever the strongest was and just get on that wheel, try to make the effort worth something, and ended up slotted behind the guy with the BMC for a nice little ride. It's a good strong pull by him. I was thinking at this point that maybe he and I, and the guy that was behind me immediately, would be able to form some sort of break. But I also, at this point in my experience, don't have the competency to form anything like that or to communicate what needs to be communicated in order to make that work. So I went ahead and just slotted in, and I figured we'd get caught pretty quickly, which we did. By the end of the hill, everything had kind of come back together, and we're just kind of back in the same front pack as usual. But it is really nice to be up there, get that experience at the front, and take corners as you want. The next 2 laps have pretty little of interest, so I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to the 2 laps to go sign at about 19 minutes into the race. Alright, so the last 2 laps have been pretty uneventful. Got a bit swallowed by the pack, no big deal. Here we see the 2 laps to go sign, and I know it's definitely time to start thinking about how I'm positioned. I've been pretty far back for a good while, pretty far back right now, but I know I'm still within reach of the main front bunch. It's right where I need to be for the last lap. I know that I'm always going to gain ground with the roller at the bottom of the hill, so I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking that I probably don't need to put in a massive effort in order to kind of swing around to the front. My main goal from here was to prevent hemorrhaging positions and make sure that I could at least move up a couple in order to make that process a little bit easier as I moved up on the final lap. As usual, through this section at the bottom of the hill, the pack goes from a nice strung out position to a clumped one, and I used this as my chance to kind of move up. I moved up, I don't know, probably like 5-6 places with very little effort. Slot back in, pick up a draft. I put in a substantial effort here, probably not ideal on the second to last lap, but I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to fall back too many positions and be absolutely blocked by the time we got around to the final lap. I was also hoping that it would give me a little more option coming up to the top of the hill. Through this section, sometimes it gets a little cluttered, and if you get pushed out to the right, there's these significant drains on the right that'll give you a nice bump. So I was trying to maintain some sort of spacing, and it did pay off for me. My position wasn't too bad through this area. I was able to avoid those bumps and still maintain a draft. As I take this final hairpin, you can hear Derek from Launchpad yelling at me. I need to move up big. I need to use this hill to my advantage. I was definitely thinking about my positioning. I was thinking about what I need to do to ensure that I'm in a position to make the sprint happen. I know I'm strong enough to make the sprint happen, but it's a matter of just being in the right place at the right time. We enter this little false flat, this little roller, and I have my eyes out for that typical scrunch. I'm looking for the pack to close up, and that's exactly what happened. And I look up and I realize it's nice and clear. I've got it wide outside. This is my opportunity. Decided to put in some effort, put in that wattage, move up to the front. You can hear that yell. People were trying to respond. As I get into the hill, I'm thinking about last week. I'm thinking about how I wasn't really able to respond to what was happening up the road soon enough. So I'm trying my best to stay out in front. And conveniently, this guy jumps in front, and I'm able to catch onto his draft. His timing really set me up for the perfect sprint. I couldn't have asked for a better situation. So I just kind of sit down on him for a little while. I click up a couple times and open it up. Overall, very pleased with my finish. I think that going forward, as I get more awareness, I'll be able to guarantee more of these and keep them coming. Thanks for watching.